Hey everybody, my name's Dan and welcome back to Nocones Garage. On this episode, we're going to take the Subaru shell down from the ceiling and we're going to turn it into that pile. And also that. Alright, here's the body shell. As you can see, it is not in the best shape. Missing the fuel door, which, and all the tail lights. I do have the headlights. No interior. Obviously no drivetrain. No floor. It's very, very rough. Every panel is damaged, rusty, dented, dinged, missing windshield, missing all glass, so it is truly a body shell. It does have the emblem, so that's pretty cool, and it has the little vent. Obviously not a candidate for any kind of restoration, and probably not a good candidate for what I'm planning on doing to it, but I don't know any better. So, cut line is going to come, there's a body line right here that we're going to cut along, cut through the middle of the door, and then just remove the front fender along its line. Alright, the doors are held on with these big Phillips head screws. They've been installed since 1960 something. And they're stripped out, so we're just going to drill them. We're going to have to move the mounts anyway and the hinges. cut horizontally off all the bottom and take this support out, I need to reinforce between these two spots. So what I'm going to do is just take a piece of tubing, I cut a slot in it, and I'm going to hook it over the door rail on both sides and just weld it on. Make sure the two sides from the door striker to this hinge match each other. Now normally if you were doing this on something with a little more structure that you weren't building a full tube chassis under, you'd probably reinforce this a lot more. But for me, I just want to make sure that this section up here doesn't end up getting bent if this were to unfold at all. I'm really only worried about maintaining these horizontal. Torsion and all that will get taken care of when I build the chassis and put on the chassis. So I'm gonna go grab the welder and just tack these in just to hold it in place. Alright, that should work. I'm just using the MIG in gasless mode right now. Doesn't really matter for what these are. I'm not going to come in and finish these off later. I'm not really even cleaning. Just this thin paint seems to be burning through just fine, and it's just to hold this in place. And it's plenty rigid. Now that the body's reinforced, but I'm going to come up and I'm going to cut this pillar and the front pillar at those levels as precisely as I can, and then all this back is basically just going to get removed because it's going to interfere with the engine. And so this line on the finished car is going to be 18.5 inches above the ground, or the bottom of the chassis, and it's currently 41 3/4 from the garage floor. I verified that this is all level. Make the noise. Yeah, this one doesn't actually make noise. So I'm just going to measure up to be 23 1/4. Put a line and go ahead and make that cut. That's everything, so let's see if we can get this off of here.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
So that was quite a bit of work to get to this point. I think that's going to be enough for this episode. But next episode, we're going to start on designing the suspension, because that's required for us to be able to position both the driver and all the major components to be able to start fabricating the chassis. See you next time. Thanks. From the chassis bottom. And right now, we're about 42. So we need to come up from the floor